नमस्कार. It's good to see you all. आप लोगों के सिर्फ सवाल सुने थे अभी तक, बट अब चेहरे भी दिख रहे हैं, तो अच्छा लग रहा है आप लोगों को देख के. It is difficult to follow Lakshman in speech, but I will try my best. I would like to start by thanking the people who have made this mission possible. And there are multiple layers to this, not just one person. I will start by thanking the Government of India for conceiving about this mission and finally making it happen. I would like to thank ISRO for enabling this entire mission, the people, my colleagues at ISRO who have worked so hard for successfully executing this mission. I would also like to, I see some faces here, the PIs, the researchers who have enabled the experiments for the Axiom-4 mission, and I would like to thank them for their contribution and their work for this mission. I would like to thank you guys for bringing this mission to the population of this country, to the common man, and making it accessible by everyone to view. And in the end, I would like to thank each and every citizen of this country who behaved in a way that they actually owned this mission. I really felt that this was a mission for this entire nation. So with this, I have limited time to share my experience of this past 1 year. I will try my best to cover the salient aspects, and thereafter we can follow up in the question and answers. This mission, the Axiom-4 mission, was a mission to the International Space Station. So we were flying on top of the Falcon 9 vehicle in the Crew Dragon and to the International Space Station for a period of 2 weeks, and thereafter coming back. The launch was from Cape Canaveral, Florida, and recovery was off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. Crew Dragon is one of the 3 vehicles which can take humans to space as of now. And we were fortunate to have the training on the other one, the Soyuz, which goes from Russia, as well as Crew Dragon now. International Space Station, as you know, is an orbiting laboratory which has been there since 2000 and has been conducting cutting-edge science and is actually a perfect example of marvel of human engineering and human collaboration. My profile in this mission was as a mission pilot. So Crew Dragon, there are 4 seats, and I was the mission pilot. I had to work with the commander and interact with the systems of the Crew Dragon. Basically, anything that has to be done with the Crew Dragon was our responsibility. Now, with this mission profile, for the 2 weeks on the ISS, the work that we had, the job that we had was we had to perform the experiments that were conceived, developed, and realized by the Indian researchers, and also to perform STEM demonstrations and just capture photographs and videography to bring it back to you. So that was the primary job while we were up on the station. To execute this mission profile, we were training at various places, and it was distributed. So we were at NASA, European Space Agency, and also we traveled to Japan for executing the training for the International Space Station. At the same time, we also went to SpaceX for training on the Crew Dragon vehicle, which was the vehicle on which we were going to travel to space. For training on the experiments that were prepared by researchers, we traveled to various NASA centers. The benefit of executing a human spaceflight mission end-to-end is more than the training, actually. The supplementary knowledge that you get just by being there, the experience of it, the conversations that you have, the interaction that you have with people who have had a history of human spaceflight, it is invaluable. And I think all of this information that I have been able to collect in the past 1 year is going to be extremely useful for us for our own mission, the Gaganyaan and the Bharatiya Antariksh Station. And very soon we shall see somebody traveling up in our capsule from our rocket, from our soil. In spite of all this training, आपने चाहे जितनी भी ट्रेनिंग की हो, लेकिन उसके बाद भी जब आप उस रॉकेट पे बैठते हैं और जब वो इंजन इग्नाइट होते हैं, when they catch fire, I think it is a very different feeling. I had not imagined of how it would feel like, and I was actually, running behind the rocket for the first few seconds. I took time to catch up to it. From that point of time till the time we splashed down, the experience has been unbelievable. It has been so exciting and so amazing that I really have been struggling to find words of how do I convey to you so that you live that through my words. Probably I'll take some more time. But the training prepares you very well for the mission, but the experience is very different from what you learn on ground. on orbit, when we reached, and you would have seen that the body undergoes a lot of changes. There are different things that happen to you. जब प्रधानमंत्री जी के साथ मेरा इंटरेक्शन हो रहा था, तो आप लोगों ने देखा होगा कि मेरा सर इस समय प्रॉब्ली इस साइज से दुगना था. It was double this size. And so बहुत सारे changes होते हैं बॉडी में. You don't feel good for the first 3 to 4 days, but you still are working and you are interacting with the systems and doing a lot of work. But उसके बाद 3 से 4 दिन में ही आपकी बॉडी यूज्ड टू हो जाती है. उसको अच्छा लगने लगता है. एंड यू स्टार्ट परफॉर्मिंग वेल एंड यू स्टार्ट फीलिंग ओके एंड एवरीथिंग बिकम्स ऑल राइट. एंड देन व्हेन यू हैव स्पेंट 20 days, आप जब रह चुके हैं वहाँ पे 20 दिन के बाद, व्हेन यू कम बैक, देन अगेन द बॉडी forgets of how it is to live in gravity. And so it again has to readjust and rewire to understand of what it takes to just walk or just hold things or just do things. I narrated this incident in one of the interviews, I think before, that I was sitting on my bed and I was holding my laptop, and the habit was so ingrained in me that I held my laptop and I left it, hoping that it will float. But unfortunately, we have gravity here, so it just fell down, and thankfully nothing happened because of the carpet. But that is the kind of rewiring your brain has to undergo, you know, when you come back, when you either go up or when you come back. I feel that this mission has been extremely successful in terms of a lot of things. We have been able to achieve all our technical objectives. The the objectives that we had laid down because of the effort of a lot of people. But there are a few takeaways from this mission that I would like to just talk about before I close out. And those takeaways are witnessing an execution of a human spaceflight mission like this gives you a lot of knowledge, a lot of information. And these are intangibles. You cannot measure them. You cannot just put everything on paper and write it down. The experience goes much beyond and much deeper than what you are documenting or putting in books. So I think that is going to be very valuable for us, for our journey of human spaceflight mission that we are starting. I also realize the power of the scientific temper. The excitement that I saw in kids, the excitement that I saw in people that was there. I had 3 interactions from orbit with the kids. One was the live event, and then there were 2 ham radio interactions. And in each one of these interactions, there was at least one kid who asked, how do I become an astronaut? And I think that was the biggest win for me from this mission, that kids here are already thinking that they want to become an astronaut. And the good thing is that we are ready, ISRO is ready, India is ready with the rockets, with the launchers, that we have the capability now that we can make this dream a reality very soon. So that was very fascinating for me. Another thing that was very peculiar for me, we had a crew which was from different countries, from Poland, Hungary, India, and United States. And the mission itself was being executed by people who were sitting in Japan, Europe, Germany, US, all over the world. But all of them are able to come together for one single cause, for one single mission. And what this conveyed to me was the unifying nature of space, of how it brings people together, the power of collaboration that it has. And I think that speaks volume about this discipline in particular, and overall values that we have as a nation of always, trying to bring people together. So this resonated with me very strongly. And in the end, I just have a message for everybody who is listening in on this, conference that we are having. All the kids who are listening to this message, I was sitting there with you, I was sitting on the chairs that you are sitting on today, and I had never thought I would reach here, I would go to space. But my message to you is, if I can do this, you can do this too. And we have to make it work, and we have to go forward from here. One mission after another. We'll have Gaganyaan, and thereafter Bharatiya Antariksh Station, and we'll have a series of missions. So I want you to dream, I want you to think that you can do this, and we will together make this happen. And with this, I will end this with the key message that I've had throughout the mission, while going up, while on orbit, and while coming back. भारत आज भी अंतरिक्ष से सारे जहां से अच्छा दिखता है. जय हिंद, जय भारत.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla for this inspiring thought and speech. Now I request Honorable Minister Dr. Jiten Singh ji to address the media.
Thank you, Mr. Oja, Chairman Narayanan, Group Captains Prashant, Shubhanshu, friends from the media. I know you would be waiting to have more of interaction with the two gentlemen sitting left and right of me, so I would not take long, and without taking the risk of being repetitive, just to add one or two observations. To take off from what Narayanan was saying about the recent missions and the upcoming missions, I think what might have struck you is that the Department of Space has been around for nearly 70 years, and officially the ISRO was established in 1969. So I'm sure one day some of you, or some of the analysts might be asked why all this had to happen only in the last few years, why it couldn't have happened in the last 5-6 decades. And we are, since all of us belong to the domain of science which teaches us not to speak without evidence, I think that's because in the last few years we have started following the strategies which are followed by the rest of the world. Now our benchmarks are global benchmarks, our strategies are global, and the parameters that we are seeking to live up to global. And therefore, and this entire story began somewhere in 2018. For the first time, I think Dr. Kiran Kumar was the chairman, and he said to me that now we are ready to actually prepare a human being going up to the space. So I said, let's verify whether we can actually do that. So he got back to me after a few days. Yes, we are very sure. And it's time now also to announce to the countrymen. And then the Independence Day was going to happen a few months, a few weeks later. So all of us decided and promised each other to maintain a guarded religious silence so that we could have the announcement done by the Prime Minister of India from the ramparts of Red Fort, because you know what it means when the Prime Minister himself announces. And I think that was the first momentous occasion for each one of us associated with ISRO when we heard the Prime Minister on the Independence Day of 2018 declaring to the nation that we are now ready to send an Indian into the space. And thereafter this entire process started. We had the potential astronauts, just Narayanan was talking about. They started their training. Then suddenly the imponderables happened. The COVID struck us. They were there in Moscow that time. The Gregory Institute, that got get back, the lockdown. So everything got delayed. Actually, we had very ambitiously planned it to have this first human mission coinciding with the 75th year of India's independence. But then since everything went haywire, so it could not materialize. And then, of course, when the training was almost complete, the Indian module, the Russian module, then this happened. The suggestion that we could have an Indian astronaut, and that happened when Prime Minister Modi was on a visit to DC and was having parleys with President Biden. And the first thing I told the then chairman, I said, look here, now you don't take it just on the face value. It's a recognition of the Indian talent. Now we are being solicited because they know the value of our contribution. So our collaboration has now reached an equal level. So we are collaborating at an equal platform. And then, of course, Prashant and Shubhanshu were there. So when you try to seek answers why it didn't happen, as Narayanan was saying, we were just almost one digit or zero startups till 5 years back. Today we have more than 300. What also I think he should have mentioned is that our space economy was almost dismal, not even worth mentioning. Today we are $8 billion. And the manner in which we are progressing, our projections indicate that in just next 8 to 10 years we'll be going up nearly 5 times, maybe $45 billion, which otherwise means that as we move on from economy number 4 to 3, 2 and 1, space component is going to be a major value addition to the future economy growth. And as I've always said, that when you scientifically think how the economy is going to grow from where we are, it is going to happen from the unexplored or the underexplored sectors which were there but which were not attended to. So one of them is space, the other is oceans, which also we have started deep ocean mission. I'm not going to talk about it right now. Now, I think the biggest turning point was when the Prime Minister agreed to open up the space sector to the private sector. And some of the media friends very fancifully and very beautifully reported the Prime Minister Modi has unlocked India's space. And I said it is the unlocking of the Sriharikota gates, because only 10 people would sit there and do the launching. It was the first time I went. Dr. Radhakrishnan was there in the middle of night at about 3 o'clock. He said, I'll take you to a place where even my scientists are not allowed to go because it's such a prohibited space. And then it was about 1:30. I said, Radha, I try to learn one new thing each day. What I learned today is that one should be either as an eminent scientist as you are, or somehow manage to become a minister in the Department of Space and Research. But then why this restriction? And I'm glad the Honorable Prime Minister allowed us to do this today. At any point of time, we have 15 to 20,000 people watching the launching, and we have created a separate exclusive space zone for the media persons. We have on average 1,000-1,500 million. So this opening up gave us a lot of enthusiasm. It also gave us, and the private sector, the private boys and girls who came in as startups, they not only gained out economically, financially, some of them are now making lucrative entrepreneurs, but they also added value knowledge-wise. They came with a lot of new ideas. The first time why I'm saying so that these are lesser known facts, lesser reported. When the Sky Route was launched, it was the first one, I noticed a small gadget there on the rocket. I didn't know. I asked the chairman, I said, what is this? He said, I can't figure out. I said, if chairman can't figure out, who else would? So I said, let's call the boys. So when we called the boys, they said, sir, when you send a rocket up, the Doordarshan catches from the ground. We have put a camera on the top of it. So they were actually coming with new ideas, and that's how the growth has gained momentum. Otherwise, there was never a dearth of talent. You've seen those pictures of Sarabhai carrying some of his saman on the baggage. But one more thing I wish to add, because there are some cynics, they say, what are you going to gain out of this? On the one hand, our space missions are much cost effective compared to the counterpart missions elsewhere. Over here, we just spent out 500 to 600 crore, even in this mission. And it was one of the most beautiful examples of the public-private participation, four-party. Our Chandrayaan was just about 600, not even 1/3 or 1/4 of what the other counterpart missions. But even more importantly, more than just sending up rockets, we are into other sectors for the ease of living of the common citizens, the infrastructure sector, development. Our work as far as space technology is concerned is of a much more volume in other sectors. Like, for example, Gati Shakti has become now a global model for development. Our Swamitra program, where the drones and space technology get together to map out the land. So you made the citizen the master of his destiny. He doesn't have to depend on the Patwari or the revenue officer. Our telemedicine, our health, flood disaster information is being shared by all the neighboring countries. Geo-Manrega, housing, our Amrit program, our smart city program, the agriculture sector, and most of all the defense sector. The entire warfare that happened during Operation Sindoor was a combination of space technology and the Department of Atomic Energy. And all the technology was adopted in the last 10-11 years. So this was the Operation Sindoor gave us an opportunity to test our capabilities on the Pakistani soil, incidentally. So all this, you can understand, we are confined because seeing a rocket going up and then talking to somebody sitting over there is sounds a little more romantic, rightly so. But otherwise, we are in a much bigger way contributing. I would rather say space technology has entered every Indian household today. Now, what was special about the Axiom mission is, from our point of view, also from the government's point of view, also from the point of view of the dispensation that is laying down the policies today, I think in a single mission, through a single mission, our astronauts have lived up to 3 or 4 flagship mantras which Prime Minister Modi has been constantly practicing, propagating over the last nearly 12 years, ever since he's been at the helm. A, indigenous, Atmanirbhar Bharat. The astronauts were Indians, and that too from the proud Indian Air Force. The entire technology which they got, the kits that they carried for the experiments were developed by the Indian resources, none of them from outside. And of course, same is going to happen with the Gaganyaan as well. So that is living up to Atmanirbharta. The second, these kits were developed by different departments. One was, of course, Department of Biotechnology. You will be happy to know that we have entered into a formal MOU between the Department of Biotechnology and the Department of Space. And somebody asked me, what is the idea? I said, one day we'll have a space physician. In fact, I must compliment Shubhanshu. The experiments that he conducted were actually meant for a biotechnologist to do. But he proved to be a very good learner and did them as well, because we couldn't have sent a biotechnologist there without getting acclimatized to the space. But one day that will happen. So we have, learning from this experience, this episode, we have actually started doing that. And we had the contribution from the IITs, from the Indian Institute of Science in Bengaluru. So the second mantra, whole of government and whole of nation approach. And thirdly, most importantly, the experiments conducted out there in space, whether they are life sciences, whether they are myogenesis, etc., which will of course not only be benefit only in the space but also have replications on the Earth. The experiments have been conducted by an Indian, but the benefit is going to be to the entire mankind, which means we have now set the first sterling example of Vishwa Bandhu Bharat, which Prime Minister keeps saying. So, and the outcome, some people ask, of course, it has given India capability, esteem, confidence, and the world also the confidence of larger scale collaborations. Of course, as Narayana was saying, docking and dockings for the next mission, Bharat's station, and later on the Indian on the surface of Moon. And he's talked about, I think 2025 has been a landmark year for us. We ended 24 with SpaceX, we began 25 with another mission. And now we have this. So this quantum leap has happened only in the last 3-4 years. And I think because you would be wishing to interact, so I would not take long. But what I don't know whether you have noted is that we, the Government of India, and therefore also the nation has laid down before us the award target of 2047 when India celebrates the 100 years of independence, and we achieve that coveted goal of being acknowledged as Viksit Bharat. But ladies and gentlemen, just 7 years before that, we'll have an Indian landing on Moon and declaring from the surface of Moon that took care, Viksit Bharat is in the coming. So that's going to be the importance of space. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू सर। मीडिया मित्रों, इसके बाद अब हम प्रश्न लेंगे। एक बात आपसे और बतानी थी कि प्रश्नोत्तर के दौरान भी आप अपने प्रश्न पूछ लें, क्योंकि अलग से कोई बाइट या साक्षात्कार देना संभव नहीं होगा। और दूसरे, चूंकि सबके प्रश्नों के उत्तर लिए जाएंगे, तो हम एक तरफ से सर लाइन से ले लेते हैं, एक जिससे क्रम बना रहेगा। तो पहली रो से अगर कोई नहीं है तो सेकेंड रो में आप प्रश्न पूछें। और एक चीज और ध्यान रखें, अगर किसी ने प्रश्न पूछ के लिया है उसको फिर से न दोहराएं। तो लेफ्ट से सबसे पहले 25 नंबर, आई थिंक। नहीं, आप पूछें। आप अगर पूछना चाहती हैं, 2 नंबर इसी क्रम से हम आएंगे, हर फ्लैंक में जाएंगे, सो दैट सबको मौका मिलेगा। और अपने संस्थान का परिचय दें।
One question for Shubhanshu and one for Dr. Jitendra Singh. My name is Rekha Dikshit and I'm from IIT Madras Shastra magazine. Shubhanshu, I really would like to know what is the progress of the experiments. We had attended your press conference online the other day and you had said that they've been sent back to the Earth labs. If you can give a detail, about what exactly is the scale or is the progress on those experiments. And Dr. Singh, I would like to ask you, there is this question at the back of everyone's minds. I know you say that the ISRO missions are all very cost effective and frugal and all, but Shubhanshu's ride has really been expensive. How do we justify that?
Sorry, justify? What did you say?
The cost of this mission. Yeah.
His cost is much more than what we have spent.
Yeah, exactly. How do we justify that?
और सबसे अनुरोध है कि एक प्रश्न पूछें, क्योंकि सबको मौका मिलना है। एक व्यक्ति एक प्रश्न, प्लीज।
हमारे तो 2 हो गए।
His value is much more than that.
To your first question, the experiments that were conducted, we had 7 different experiments, and ranging from stem cell research to growing sprouts on the station. Some of them started showing results while we were there on the station as well, and so we knew that the results were very encouraging. However, before concluding anything, you have to analyze the data really carefully so that you are not jumping to any conclusions. So all of the experiments that were done on the station were then preserved and then frozen, and they have come back and they've been handed over to the PIs right now. They are analyzing the data. Some will be available soon, and some may take some, few more months for them to publish. But I think within a few months we will have the results available and what we were able to do. But I would like to highlight one point here, that the benefit of conducting microgravity research on station was not just about the data that we'll get from these experiments. By doing this, what we have done essentially is we have enabled an entire ecosystem. All the researchers who participated in this now know how an experiment has to be designed for conducting research in microgravity. I think that is a very big learning along with just the scientific data that we are going to get. Thank you.
I think one, just to add to that, is why it will take time also is because this is the first of its kind happening. So we have no past precedents or role model to follow. In fact, they are the pioneers for the first ever such experiments.
Thank you. 25 आएंगे हम. हो गया 25.
Sorry, you repeat that. Cost? No, I think we are very cost effective. Our cost is much. Sorry?
चलिए 25 आप पूछिए.
I think we have had an equal collaboration, so I don't want to get into that. It's been a very profitable venture. And I think even in the times of Sarabhai, when we were venturing out with the lesser resources, because we have, I must compliment our team ISRO, they have been making up for the lack of financial resources through their human resource. So we don't just move like a bullet train. Even when Chandrayaan, when we go in circles, make the best use of gravity, then we come to the outermost circle, then try to shoot into the moon circle. So it's like driving on a neutral gear when you slide down the car, if you purchase a second-hand car with a very cost-effective budget. So it's like that.
25.
My name is Soumya Pillai. I'm from the print. My first question is to both Group Captain Shukla and to Group Captain Nair. You guys were already training for the Indian Gaganyaan mission. How was your training different for Axiom-4? And Group Captain Shukla, you had said that you were carrying, it's an extension, you were carrying a surprise for Rakesh Sharma. Could you reveal what that surprise was?
It won't be much of a surprise if I reveal when Rakesh Sharma sir is not here, right? So I would probably wait for that when we meet him. But to your first question of how the training was different, so we have trained at the Russian Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center as well, and thereafter we came back to India. We were training with ISRO, and after that we went to US for training for the Axiom-4 mission. Essentially, in all these three different training setups, we are training for the same thing. But it was very interesting to see of how people are achieving the same objective through different protocols. And it is possible. Questions like these, they do not have one right answer. There are several ways to do it. And I think the perspectives gained from the Russian training as well as the American training, it gave us unique insights of how we can approach, the philosophy of doing things can be different, but you end up achieving the same objective. Training was different, but philosophies broadly, for a human spaceflight mission are similar, but the methodology is probably different. That's what I will say.